In this video, we'll talk about how to find the equation of a parabola given 3 points. So let's work through an example. Let's say we're told that some parabola goes through these 3 points, 0, 4, 2, negative 2, and 3, 10. How can we find the equation for this parabola? Well, it helps if we write it in standard form, which is y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. Now what we can do is we can plug each of these xy coordinates into this equation, and we're going to end up with a system of 3 equations. So let's do that. So let's use this, we'll label this first point as x1, y1. If we plug in y into this equation, we'll get 4 is equal to a times x squared, so x is going to be 0 squared, plus b times x, once again x is 0, plus c. So that's our first equation. Now let's do it again with this xy pair. So y is negative 2, so negative 2 is equal to a times x squared, so x is 2, plus b times x, so b times 2, plus c. And then our last equation, we'll use these coordinates, call it x3 and y3. So y is 10, so 10 equals a times x squared, so x is 3 in this case, plus b times x, so b times 3, plus c. Okay, so first let's just simplify each of these equations. So we have 4 is equal to, this 0 will cancel out, this 0 is nothing, it's equal to c. Over here we have negative 2 is equal to, 2 squared is 4, so this will be 4 times a, plus b times 2, so we'll write it as 2b plus c. And then we get 10 is equal to a times 3 squared. 3 squared is 9, so we'll write 9a. Plus b times 3, we'll write that as 3b plus c. Okay, so we have a system of 3 equations now. So we need to solve for a, b, and c. Well, we already know that c is equal to 4, so we just need to solve for a and b. So how can we do that? Well, if we just focus on these 2 equations, let's see if we can use the method known as elimination to try to eliminate one of these variables. So if you imagine that we multiply this entire equation by negative 3, we'll get a negative 6b. And if we multiply this equation by 2, we'll get a positive 6b, and we can get the b's to cancel out. So let's do that. So let's multiply this equation by negative 3 and this equation by positive 2. So if we do that, we get, we'll write it down here. Negative 2 times negative 3 is 6. It's equal to negative 3 times 4a is negative 12a. 2b times negative 3 is negative 6b. Then we have minus 3c. And then the second equation will get 2 times 10, that's 20. It's equal to 9a times 2 is 18a. 3b times 2 is 6b. And then 2 times c is plus 2c. So if we add these 2 equations, we can see that we get 6 plus 20 is 26. Negative 12a plus 18a is 6a. The b's will cancel out. Negative 3c plus 2c is negative c. And we already found that c is negative 4. C is 4. So what we really have is 26 is equal to 6a minus 4. So if we add a 4 to the left-hand side, we'll get 30 is equal to 6a. If we divide both sides by 6, we'll find that a is equal to 5. So a is 5, c is 4, so we can plug in a and c for any of these original equations over here and solve for b. So let's choose this middle one where we had negative 2 is equal to 4a plus 2b plus c. So we said a is 5, so negative 2 is equal to 4 times 5 plus 2b plus c, and c we said was 4. So we get negative 2 is equal to 20 plus 2b plus 4. So 20 plus 4, that's 24. If we subtract the 24 from each side, we'll get negative 2 minus 24. So negative 26 is equal to 2b. And if we divide both sides by 2, we'll find that b is equal to negative 26 divided by 2, that's negative 13. So we solve for a, b, and c, so now we can plug this back into our standard form. So we'll write our final answer as y is equal to 5x squared plus b times x. b is negative 13, so let's write minus 13x plus c. And c we said was 4. So this is our final answer. This is the equation of a parabola that goes through all three of these original points.